All right, just in time for fall, we're happy to introduce our new partner here on Gear Abbey, Fjallraven. Woo! Because you can't fjall without Fjallraven. That's right. Fall doesn't get nearly enough credit for hiking. Everyone thinks summer's the season, but for hikers, autumn is the real deal. You got cooler days, quieter trails, more space, and fall is exactly what Fjallraven's Keb collection is built for. Born from trekking in northern Sweden, their jackets, fleeces, trousers, everything lets you focus on nature, all specifically designed to make cold optional. Check out the whole Keb collection by clicking on the link in the show notes or search for it when you head to fjallraven.com, where your fjall or your fall begins.
You got questions going out of your mind. Someone with answers now that's hard to find. Like the what and the why and the how stuff works, or just where to go to avoid all the jerks. She's Gear Abby, Gear Abby, Gear Abby, advice that doesn't suck. Gear Abby.
Hello there, my outdoorsy friends, and welcome to Gear Abbey, where we tackle the controversial, weird, obscure, and taboo topics that other outdoor podcasts refuse to touch. I'm Shawnté Salabert, that's Gear Abbey, an outdoor educator, writer, former school social worker, and ordained minister of the Church of the Latter-day Dude, just in case you were wondering, who's hiked, run, climbed, paddled, and adventured all across the United States. And here on Gear Abbey, I channel all that experience and more into answering your burning questions about our relationships with outdoor people, products, places, and pastimes. Because remember, my outdoor-loving pals, there are no dumb questions, just smart advice. So, you know how this works. We're deep in at this point. You've been following along. You're going to send in your questions to Dear Gear Abbey, and that's A-B-B-Y, no E. We're not emailing Edward Abbey. deargearabby@gmail.com, and I'm going to pick my favorites to answer here on the show. And you've been waiting for it. As always, joining me today is my partner in gear, the producer of Gear Abbey, and a man who texts me more than my own mother does, Colin True.
Is that true?
I think so. Well, yeah, you text me a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I need to stop texting you?
No, that's okay.
I have things to say.
It's generally entertaining.
I live that podcast life.
You
know,
really
just
do.
it's just like I got takes. I got to talk to you. I got to throw things your way.
I keep my phone, my phone is on silent between the hours of, I think, 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. And sometimes when the phone comes back to life at 7:01, I'll see that you've texted me at some ungodly hour, and I'm so glad that I do the whole silent thing. Like, when do you sleep, Colin?
What sleeps? Come on, who sleeps? Do we sleep still? Sleep still a thing? Are we supposed to do that?
Sometimes. Now that I'm like crawling into middle age, not so much.
Right.
All right, so I was thinking, let's do a little something different to kick off this episode. So a few weeks back, somebody wrote in asking for my thoughts on who you just told me his name is not Michelino Sunseri. It is Michelino Sunseri.
Michelino. Yes.
Michelino. Michelob. Mechalika High.
Both Michelob and Michelino, both CH. We should have actually seen. You know what? Now I feel stupid.
Coming. Damn it.
Yeah. I drank my share of Michelobs when I was younger. I didn't put that two and two together there.
No, not me. Not it. I grew up in Milwaukee, so it was like, Pabst or die, I guess.
There you go.
Milwaukee's Best. The Beast, as we called it.
We had some Milwaukee's Best was popular at college as well.
That was a college drink for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, our old friend Michelino, the professional trail runner, he was convicted of a misdemeanor in federal court for cutting a switchback and using a closed trail while he was out there breaking a Grand Teton speed record. And my verdict, and you agreed with me, is that while cutting switchbacks and taking closed trails is bad form, that prosecuting the guy in federal court just seemed like a waste of time and resources. But as we found out, at least one listener disagreed. And because the email was also directed at you, do you want to read it here?
Yeah, yes, I'm very excited to read this.
Yes.
Number one, love getting now listener feedback on other listener questions and responses. It's great. So please keep that coming and encourage everyone, deargearabby@gmail.com. Send in not just your own burning questions about the outdoors, but maybe your thoughts on something we've covered here on the show. So this is exciting, an exciting moment. But
it's very meta. It's very like Inception, Gear Abbey Inception, and I like it.
Right, just keeps going around like the top. Will it ever fall over? No, because we're in a dream within a dream. Okay, so first the letter is, Dear Gear Abby, and I got included in Colin, thank you for not calling me pig. That's nice of you.
Yet.
You couldn't be more wrong about Michelino Sinceri. He could have pled guilty, and there would have been no trial and no, quote, wasted expense. He thought he was bigger and more important than the rules put into place that are informed by science and good ecological practices. I'm bigger than the rules because I'm going for an FKT is bullshit. He chose to make his stunt a huge spectacle. We have laws for a reason. Very good reasons. The Park Service should be prosecuting people who break laws that are in place for those very good ecological reasons. Switchbacks can be devastating sources of erosion, especially in a place that receives millions of visitors a year. It's wild to suggest that because he chose to go to trial, even after he admitted he'd cut the switchbacks, it's somehow the Park Service's fault for wasting money. Furthermore, this is still going, he can still do all the punitive measures you suggested he do, and so can the North Face. Love you guys, but boy, is now not the time to be suggesting public lands should be flouted with impunity just because we choose to. Just a historically bad take. Your public lands abiding friend, signed, Cranky Pants.
Wow. You reading that? You reading that. I want to know, Colin, before I get to this, did that feel like your shaking fist at the sky moment? Like you got to inhabit it for just a moment there?
It was an odd sensation because yes, but also I think this guy's completely wrong. So I got to embody the other side. It didn't feel particularly good, but I think we do have that in common, that we're both ardent fish cloud shakers. Pants. Yes.
Yes. Well, Cranky Pants, thank you for emailing. Truly, I am a huge fan of encouraging healthy dialogue, and I really do appreciate that you took the time to send us such a passionate reply, especially as reenacted by Colin. And thank you for including Colin so that he could also be implicated in your wrath.
I really did agree with you, so
really appreciate that. Yeah,
it would have been weird if I hadn't been. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. We're gonna disagree sometimes,
That's true.
Oh, man. Well, all right. So just like you, I still don't agree that prosecuting the guy was the right move, Colin. But I do want to make it clear, which I don't think I did in my initial response, that I do absolutely think it was warranted to kind of make an example out of him in some way. And that is specifically because of his status as a sponsored athlete, and for the potential of using his platform, no matter how modest it may be. I mean, he's not Jimmy Chin, but to educate others. So I think, Cranky Pants, you've given us sort of a bit of an opportunity here to have another discussion, and that is, what is the responsibility of a sponsored athlete to set a good example? I said that very Wisconsinly, a sponsored athlete to set a good example and live by it while they're getting those, sweet, sweet brand dollars. Personally, I think setting a good example while doing things that perhaps inspire the everyday person is the whole point of a sponsored athlete. Like, brands aren't just paying these folks because they're very strong and they're super talented and they're really good at getting press, although that's obviously all a huge part of it. They're paying them because they connect with consumers. I mean, an audience of real life human beings who will probably buy stuff from that brand if they feel aligned, Yeah. So, I mean, hands down, I think there is a big responsibility for these sponsored athletes like our old pal Michelino, Michelob, to mind their P's and Q's, especially when they're out there on these like mythic glory quests like speed records are. So as you alluded to in your email, Cranky Pants, when a metric butt ton of people, not just metaphorically, but also quite literally, are following in the footsteps of some of these people and they make these bad decisions, I think the environmental impact can be outsized, like you said. There's a lot of people in these areas, and if somebody's like, dude, I'm going to go try to beat Sinceri's record, and they want to use the same route he used, well, that's a problem, right? So the Park Service deciding to make an example of him makes sense, but for me, it's the how, and this is kind of what we got at last time.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know if you've noticed anything different, Colin, but I think there's been all these newsy blurbs about it and the conviction and everything, but I've actually seen very little in all of these hot takes that veers anywhere near the educational realm, which is where I think there's a huge missed opportunity for everybody involved, including the Park Service, including Sinceri, including his sponsors. Like, tossing the guy in jail or slapping a hefty fine would maybe serve as a scare tactic for other public figures, other sponsored athletes like him. But neither of those things actually teaches anything other than the Park Service is out for influencer blood and you might be next. Like, I think it's a good tactic to keep other would-be record breakers in line, but maybe not the most effective route for the average trail user. So you did not ask this, Cranky Pants, but if I was playing Judge Abby here.
Judge Abby.
Judge
Spin-off
Abby.
podcast.
I know Colin just is writing a whole new segment of the show.
I need another 3 hours of your time a week, Shawnté. Judge Abby's coming.
Dun, dun, dun. Can we use the law? Do you think we'll get sued just using like the Law and Order bass thumps? That's all I want. Dun,
If we're mashing up Judge Judy with Dear Abby, we might have a lot of legal problems. So
it's fair use. It's parody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of criminal transgressions, I don't know, but if I was playing the judge here, I would require some sort of public facing restitution that's part remediation and part education that would kind of help people better understand why this was such a big deal. I feel like nobody has done that here, including me right about now. But, the thing is, like, have Sunseri rally some of the other North Face athletes, coordinate some work days in the park, do some trail work, some restoration, ask him to create and install signage that describes how cutting switchbacks, hopping on closed trails doesn't just create like a bad and possibly unsafe experience for other users, but also how it does, speed up erosion, and it kind of screws with that fine balance between designing trails and outdoor spaces for human use and protecting habitat for all the other living beings in the area. So, hell, be extra North Facey about it if you want. Make a short film. Screen it on the outdoor film circuit, donate any proceeds back to the park or the trail crews.
We'll criticize it on the rock.
We'll criticize it. We'll do we'll put on our French beret. Why are we putting on French berets? That's not, I don't know. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to pretend we are at Cannes. Didn't we have like a couple episodes ago fake French accents, and
it didn't. We decided we shouldn't do that. I think
we decided we shouldn't do it. So I am partially.
Which means we should probably do it more.
Je parle pas français. We should. I want to hear you, but we'll do that. We'll wait till we have the berets.
There you go.
That's a great thing. But listen, make a movie about it. Whatever. Like, you can call it Trail and Error, and I'll just take a small producer credit. That's all.
So TLDR, Cranky Pants, we feel the same as we did before. And the only thing to do here was to say, hey, that you shouldn't have done that. And we know why you did that, because other people have done that before you. And so what are we going to do so that nobody else does it too?
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh man. All right. I feel like we exercised some demons in the first question. So
yeah, that was good.
So, yeah. Now we can bring it back down. Now we're calm again. What else do you have in your Rolodex of questions? That's not how questions work.
We could create one.
Your tote bag of questions. I'm just gonna think of your mayonnaise jar of questions.
Rolodexes were cool. They were fun to flip through. It was like satisfying. It was like old timey fidget in a lot of ways, if you think about it.
Oh, that in the card catalog.
All right, here's the next question. Dear Gear Abby, first, congrats on your show. I'm excited to have a podcast. Yeah, I'm excited to have a podcast dedicated to gear and trail related questions. I'm a new backpacker as of this year and loving it so far. My question: do you take a bear can on all your backpacking trips, even when it's not expressly required? Of course, excluding areas where there are literally no bears. I've taken mine to parks where it's required, but it seems like the best option to protect bears and other wildlife regardless of which trail you're on, even if it's a little extra hassle and extra weight. I've seen the alternatives like Yearsacks, and I can't imagine they are completely safe. Maybe I'm just paranoid. Signed, Snacks.
Snacks. Well, Snacks, are you paranoid or are you paranoid? Colin winced before I even said it. He knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. I know you well enough at this point.
I love a bear pun. Don't worry, Colin. I feel like there will be ample opportunity to sprinkle a few others in here, but
that's the only one you get. I don't want to hear Bearito. I don't want to hear what other bear puns have you made so far in the very short history of this podcast.
Listen, not everybody has heard all my bear puns yet. I've got to give them a wide audience as possible. But no, really, Snacks, that's actually a great question. It's a really thoughtful question. So first of all, though, I kind of want to roll back because I feel like some people are probably listening who are like, what the hell is a bear can? And they might think when they hear that phrase that it's some sort of like extra large garbage receptacle that maybe a bear pops out of Jack in the Box style from time to time.
No, it's a bear's butt.
Okay. Can?
Yeah, you never heard a butt referred to as a can? That
Get
guy's
your
got a
can over
giant
here.
can.
That sounds like something
Yeah.
they probably said in gangster movies in the 20s.
All right, showing my age again. We just went up a whole other demo. Okay.
we went up 100 years each.
So
Now we're
all
in
the
the
octogenarians left listening to the show.
Oh,
Welcome.
They said can. Oh boy, I like to shake my can to that podcast. Oh man. Well, but all of us are wrong. That is not what a bear can is. We are not octogenarians as much as it may seem. A bear canister, for people of all ages, is basically a hard-sided container meant to keep food and other scented items out of reach of bears and other animals. And they're designed to be opened only by the most nimble of human hands, not by big furry paws. Although anybody who has ever tried opening one on a cold winter morning or just a cold morning period will understand just how human resistant they are too, especially those bear vaults. So some places with a sizable bear population and a history of human-bear interactions, like Yosemite National Park, require that backpackers use these to store their food when they're out in the backcountry. So the idea isn't just to protect your food supply, but also to protect the bears. It's a really, really bad thing for wild animals to become habituated to human food. And it's not just because Snickers aren't a part of their natural diet. It's also because bears that learn that we humans have tasty victuals will try to get those tasty victuals. And what happens when you have one too many attempts means that officials may choose to euthanize what's now known as a problem bear, and that's messed up. So I love that Snacks asked this question because I think a lot of us are like, bear canister is heavy and it's cumbersome and blah, 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 and I'll only carry it if it's required. But I think they brought up a really good point. So I'm gonna be honest with you here and say, so when I am in a barria,
Oh, no, that's it.
that is,
no more.
In case you're wondering, a barria is a place where bears exist.
No, we got it.
Not everybody knows a portmanteau. It's when you smush two words together. So I do I still carry one of these if it's not required? And my answer to that has actually changed over the years. So I used to be, like many people, sort of deeply bear can avoidant in the name of reducing weight in my pack. In fact, I did not carry one at all on the Colorado Trail, and that is a prime baratory.
No. I edit these episodes. I'm taking that
You do
right
not
out.
take that out or you're fired, and I will not have a podcast because I don't want to have it if I don't have Colin.
Baratory. Okay.
It's baratory. Colin, come on, man.
Oh, my God.
You could have come up with your own puns, and you didn't. So think about that for the next episode, okay?
I don't think Cranky Pants would have liked it if I started throwing puns into his letter to us.
Probably not. He probably isn't even going to like how you read it.
Yeah,
Anyway, so let's go back to the trail, Colin.
Sorry.
Let's go back to the
Don't-
prime baratory on the Colorado Trail, where I did not use a bear canister. I used an Ursack. And so that, Snacks mentioned it in their email, but this is a critter-resistant bag made out of super strong materials like Spectra or Kevlar. I think mine is Spectra. Depends on the model. But most nights I was a good girl and I tied it to a tree. And some nights I flirted with danger and kept it in my tent, which is not recommended. That's not what they're about. You want to keep it away from your human body. But I was pretty lucky. Like, not a single critter walked up on me, didn't bother with it. But I do know several people whose Ursacks have been chewed on, stomped on, or just smacked around like a piñata. Their food was edible. The food wasn't taken, but it was pretty roughed up. So that's honestly kind of the biggest issue with the bags is that they're not hard-sided. So if Smokey or any of his cousins decides to come swat, stomp, slobber all over it, your food may not have like the same consistency the next day. So in that case, I hope you're really like munching on Frito dust.
It's going to take a note to be prepared for the Smokey Bear libel suit that's coming.
So many lawsuits on today's episode. Legal. So that Colorado Trail hike was about 8 years ago, and I have actually since swapped over to carrying a bear canister all the time in known barriers, even when it's not required, just simply for peace of mind. And for the fact that, like you mentioned, Snacks, that at the end of the day, that peace of mind also extends to the health of our bear populations and not, my actions not causing a bear to lose its life is pretty important to me. But so I now own, and as a caveat, I'm a guidebook author. I spend a lot of time outside. I teach. I own not one, but 3 different bear canisters. I've got a very lightweight Barricade Weekender, which I've been able to cram 8 days of food into. Bear Vault 450, the classic, which is really good for shorter trips. And then I have a Bear Boxer. That one's my smallest one. I'll use that sometimes on a one-nighter. Never ever did I think I'd own a quiver of bear canisters, but having a selection actually does make it a little easier for me to grab one out of habit. And I'll also be honest, I am absolutely terrible at doing a proper bear hang. And that's when you counterweight and hang your food from a tree. And that's allowed in some areas, but not others. I tried it a few times on the PCT. It's actually called the PCT hang when you use a certain technique. But I barely slept every single night I did it because I had this fear that I'd just done such a shitty job that I'd wake up and find my food was just reduced to a pile of slobber-coated wrappers. So, yeah, I've also heard way too many stories, especially on the PCT, but from some other people, of people whose food was just half eaten or like completely stolen by little furry thieves in the night. So my lack of fine motor skills is just another great incentive for me to honestly just carry the can. I don't notice the weight anymore. My pack is relatively lightweight, and it's the peace of mind is the lightest thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm still worried that one day a pissed off bear is just going to like heave my can right off of a cliff or something. But I'm sure that single rock I plop on top of it every night on trail will stop this from happening, right?
While you were offering your answer to snacks, I asked ChatGPT what the marmot equivalent of a bear can would be. And the best one they came back with was a chonk can. Because marmots are basically alpine chunks.
Oh, they're so cute. I can't believe that you killed the marmot's environment with the environmental degradation that ChatGPT brings.
It was worth the 32 marmots that are dead now.
The marmot can now live in a chunk can instead. Wow, I'm still thinking about the poor marmots. But when am I not thinking about marmots, to be honest? So
never. Always thinking about marmots.
Never until you put my mind on a new question, Colin. So why don't you do that?
We got after a couple of long-winded questions, we have a nice short one.
Oh, okay.
Dear Gear Abby, I'm going hard with my first question. What's the biggest sin you've committed in the backcountry? Signed, Confession Booth.
Wow.
I mean, do we have to do you have to choose from like one of the 7 deadly sins only? Like those are yours. Is like anything like quote unquote naughty? Is that where we're going here?
I'm gonna go with anything naughty here.
Okay.
Because,
seriously.
You know what's funny though? this summer I was up on Muir Pass in the Sierra. It's along the PCT, and I found a composition book. So there's a hut up there. It's called the Muir Hut. The Sierra Club built it. And it's just this really cool stone, kind of shaped like a beehive almost, stone hut that's on top of the pass. And so I was hanging out in there for a while, and there was a composition book titled Through Hiker Confessions. And you better believe. Oh,
that's amazing.
Oh, my God. I spent like a good half hour just reading it. It was mostly poop-related sins. It was a lot of like people burying their toilet paper and things like that. But then you'd get really weird, like ones you were not expecting. Like this, for some reason, I took a picture of only one page of this book, and this was what was on it. I opened my Slim Jim and found out it had gone bad. But instead of packing it out, I threw it in the river. I hope the trout liked it. Like, what? Anonymous hiker, I do not think they did. PSA, don't feed the trout, Slim Jims.
What if like a little, Randy Macho Man Savage fish swam along and picked it up?
And he snapped into it. Oh, yeah. Now next time I might be going up to the Sierra one more time before the snow flies, but I'm going to be thinking about, do I see any trout wearing jaunty little like ripped t-shirt bandanas in their hair?
That's right.
Very tan. We're just continuing to age ourselves on this podcast.
Oh my God, you're right. That's true.
All right. Well, you want to know my most mortal outdoor sin?
I definitely do.
Oh my God. I'm debating here. I can't believe I'm about to admit this outside of a small circle of people who know about it, but we'll just rip off the Band-Aid and do it.
We're 7 episodes in, and you've revealed actually quite a bit in the 6 prior episodes. So I can't imagine this is going to be that big a deal.
Okay, that's true. I feel like I'm generally a good person. I'm a very, I try to be in good relation to the earth when I'm on it. So, all right, let me set the stage. This is many, many years ago. I was on the main Mount Whitney trail for the very first time with 3 of my friends, heading up to the mountain. We were doing an overnight trip. And because of the high volume of traffic in what's known as the Whitney Zone, the area that comprises most of the trail that's east of the Sierra Crest that leads up to the peak, Because of that, because of the sensitive nature of the environment, the general lack of dirt in the trail's upper reaches, you are not allowed to bury your poop. You instead have to carry a wag bag. And for the lucky people who've never experienced this and do not know what a wag bag is, WAG, W-A-G, stands for Waste Alleviating Gel. And the whole concept is that you lay this thing out, you do your business right in the middle of it, and then you pack it up and carry it out while the chemicals inside begin to sort of break it all down. Real special. Real special. So it was my first experience with a wag bag. None of us had actually used them before, and I was the first to have to use it, much to the delight of all my hiking companions who asked me for a full report when I got back to camp. Like they actually cheered me on. I was sort of holding it above my head like a prize.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
Like the Rocky theme song is going on in the background.
Were they one of the ones like the only ones I've used were on Shasta and Rainier,
right?
And they gave the thing you poop onto literally as a target.
Yes.
It was like, yeah, all right. So you've like something to aim for, which I was like, this is the best. I want to do this all the time.
I love a game.
Yeah, who doesn't?
You're a winner, Colin.
Bullseye.
Well, what I was not expecting after that, so I was really flying high after my first successful use, but I was not expecting to have to use it a second time. But I did.
You only had one bag?
Yeah, that's all they give you, one bag. One is all you get. And I mean, now you can buy a second bag, but this was a long time ago, and they just kind of gave you the one, and they were like, "Good luck to you and your poops." I was less excited about using it the second time. We'll just say that. What I really, really, really did not anticipate was receiving a third visit from the poop fairy within a 24-hour period. Oh my God, we were already on our way down.
Were you having a problem? Let's start there. Was
When
there a
am I
problem?
not? Listen, I feel like this is shortly after I realized that gluten really did a number on my body, but I hadn't yet given over to a gluten-free diet. So this is
You're just like slamming crackers and wheat bread. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know what? I got to poop again. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Pretty much. You're not wrong. But yeah, so we were on our way down when the third time happened, but we were still in the Whitney zone, so you're supposed to use that bag. And I was doing this mental math. I remember thinking, like, can I summon an iron will and just keep clenching until the trailhead? And I looked at the mileage, and there was this like fiery grumbling that told me no, I could not. So
a voice came from Shawnté's nether regions. No. No.
That seems I'm having a little bit of PTSD because that's not right.
Sorry.
You really do sound similar to my guts at times. So here is where the sinning occurred, because there was not a muscle in my body willing to untie 2 layers. I had 2 shopping bags wrapped around that thing and then reopen the damn wag bag. That was not happening. It was already at max capacity after 2 visits, if you know what I mean. So full of shame and stomach pain, I ran off to the first cluster of trees that I could find. I dug furiously, like I did make my cat hole, and I just whispered. I was just apologizing sort of in a whisper out loud as I unleashed the demons within. It was truly mortifying, and I still feel guilty about it to this day, and I am very grateful that I have since learned about the magical powers of Imodium.
So you just pop an Imodium now when you're heading into the Whitney zone? Is that what happens?
Yeah. Well, I was on the trail this summer on the other side and finishing over Trail Crest coming down to Whitney Portal. And so same thing, you need to have that wag bag. And luckily, though, on the other side in Crabtree Meadow, there is this 3-sided, I think I've told you about it before, maybe on the Rock Fight podcast, but a 3-sided privy out there. And you just get a lot of fresh air and evacuate before you go up the mountain. And that's what I did that. And I took an Imodium. So, the thing with the Imodium, it is a pretty common thing people do now in Whitney. You'll see it in the Facebook message boards and stuff like that. They're like, oh, just take an Imodium and stop it all up there. And you do need to remember that there's an effect to every choice you make. And so a few days later, you'll feel the effect of that choice, and it will be hard.
I don't think you should feel bad. I think you talked about, in one of our first episodes about having, Giardia, and at some point, you don't get to abide by the rules of the accepted practices of the backcountry when you're just trying to get your shorts down so you don't poop your pants, right? I think every once in a while these things happen, and the rules exist for a reason. Back to our friend Michelino Sinceri, you got to have the rules.
Yeah, listen, cranky pants.
Yeah,
okay,
cranky
I don't want
pants.
another letter. If you write another letter, put it under a different name.
Exactly, but. What were you going to do? To your point, there wasn't room. There was no room at the end.
There was no room.
AKA the wag-bag in. And yeah, I don't think you should. I don't think. I bet if you dug deep, you probably have worse sins.
No pun intended. Wow, Colin, I feel like I'm always a little, it's bittersweet whenever we get to the fourth question.
I know,
it's
right?
like we're about to wrap up. We're going to, like, any banter we do between now and next week is just for us. Nobody else. We're not recording it for anybody. That's kind of boring.
Well,
so
we technically are if they're in our text messages, that I send you all the time. Those are recorded.
Copious text messages. That's true. All right. Well, I'm emotionally ready for the final question now that I've confessed my sins. Please tell me, what is this last one?
If I had to guess, there might be. We're not done with Poop Mountain yet on this.
Probably
this
never.
episode.
I probably ever done with Poop Mountain ever.
Because this one is Dear Gear Abby. I started mountain biking about a year ago, and I think the only thing I don't like about it is feeling like I need to choke down gels and bars to keep my energy up on long rides. Please tell me there's a better way. Signed, Feed Me Seymour in Fayetteville.
I love that. That's a great sign off. Keep them coming. Seymour, there is a better way, I promise you. So I think buying prepackaged gels and other energy foods, you mentioned bars, that could be really convenient. You got something portable, it's nicely packaged, designed for quick absorption, and you can see all the, dietary information for that product directly on its packaging. But I think despite marketing trying its hardest to convince you otherwise, you don't need store-bought energy foods to fuel any of your pursuits on or off the bike. They're a convenience. It's nice to have sometimes. I've certainly used my fair share, but do you know what I ate before going to the gym today, Colin?
I thought you were going to ask me what you ate before you were eating up on Mount Whitney, but
you don't want to know. Clearly just gluten, just piles of gluten.
What did you eat before the gym?
Okay. I had a homemade salted brown butter Rice Krispie treat.
Sounds delightful.
It was. And
you had me at salted brown butter.
Oh my God. It's truly the best. Somebody made these. I was doing a trip in the Joshua Tree backcountry like a decade ago, and somebody made these and brought them on the trip, and it was mind-boggling to me. So I was like, give me your recipe. And she did. But I also, this morning, deadlifted the most I've ever deadlifted. So,
whoa.
What's up? Power to the Rice Krispie treat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's right.
Strong hamstrings.
That's right. Very. Hamstrings are hamming. But
you wore out all of your funny little isms with all your bear puns. You blew it all in that one answer.
I'm still trying to recover from cans, man. Seymour, ignore us, but listen to this. The thing you want to do is think about macros. And macros is a word I used to think was made up by fitness influencers, if I'm being honest, but it really just stands for macronutrients. And that's fat, protein, carbohydrates, kind of like the holy trinity. And it depends on how you balance those out for the length and intensity of your ride or anything else you're doing. So years ago, I was actually asked to write a piece for the Zappos blog, of all places, on how to build a pre-run meal, which required me to interview a bunch of different nutrition experts, since clearly I am firmly in the Rice Krispie camp, which is maybe not the best daily driver for performance. And all of them were like, yeah, this pre-exercise snacking is important, but it doesn't have to be complicated. So They taught me just aim for a 3-to-1 ratio, carbs to protein, so you get this good mix of quick burn and slow burn fuels. So that could be something like, I don't know, half a bagel with a smear of peanut butter topped with sliced banana. So I've followed that for shorter runs, hikes, rides, since it kind of gives me upfront energy and it sustains me for, I'd say, maybe an hour max, depending on what I'm doing and how intense it is. For anything longer, anything more intense, like significant elevation gain or whatever, I'm looking to add fuel mostly in carb form, roughly every 30 minutes or so, just to keep my furnace going at a steady rate. And if you listen to the first episode, you learned that I am not above cramming delicious sweet potato tots into my running vest, but there are, in fact, more portable and less messy options for fueling your longer runs. So
also, you don't absorb anything by cramming them into your vest. You have to eat them.
You have to actually put them in your mouth hole. It's true. Which I do, gladly.
Okay, good. Want to make sure we clarified that. Seymour could have been confused.
Yes. So basically Seymour, if you're doing something short, just eat something at home and then go out and do your thing. But if you're doing something longer, There's two kind of routes that I would go with this. First, there are these, there's other ready to go foods that might be more tasty and agreeable to your digestion system, which Colin kind of alluded to when he was introducing this question. A lot of times, if you have a lot of those sugary gels and things and the chews, if you eat too many of those, it actually overloads your system and you kind of put your digestive system into a little bit of shock and you will get the runs. So I know a lot of runners have experienced this and a lot of cyclists have experienced this. So
pack that wag bag.
Pack that wag bag. That's right. But yeah, if you want to move away from those, do nut butter packets, honey sticks, granola bars, applesauce, fruit snacks, dried fruit, fruit leather, fig bars, pit-free dates, grapes, even gummy candies. I think I've used all of that. I actually have a friend who will just go buy one of those pound bags of those dense cinnamon gummy bears from gas stations and just methodically chew through them till she's done with her activity. And I have no idea what that does to her digestive system, but I remember thinking her energy levels were something to behold. So, you could try that.
Just on that note, exactly, the snack du jour, especially in the ultra running community right now, are Nerds gummy clusters.
Oh, the Nerds, huge in the hiking world too.
Now. Yeah, there you go, right?
They're so tasty. But same thing though with the goos. Eating just a bunch of straight up sugar is not good for your digestive system. So try to get some real foods in there if you don't want to shit all over yourself on your ride. But if you're willing...
We don't kink shame around here.
We don't, though. So you do it if you want to.
If you're into it. Right?
Hey, I'm not judging. We're not. We're not judging. If you were down to put a little more effort in, though, Seymour, it's also not that difficult to make your own version of things like bars and, other, quote, energy foods, which is really just a marketing term. Because there are so many recipes out there now on the interwebs and in books that are kind of geared towards people who want to eat a bit better, a little cleaner, and more gut friendly when they're out getting at it. I've made tons of different things like balls and bars.
Oh my God.
love talking. We haven't
talked
about
All right, let's see. Puns, check. Poop talk, check. Cock and balls, check. We're good.
I didn't say that. Just balls and bars, man.
That's what we were getting at, though.
Listen, these are real things. I have made them. Okay, Colin, if you want to look for yourself, I love Dirty Gourmet. I have both of their books. Fresh Off the Grid does a bunch of amazing recipes on their site. They've also been regular contributors to Adventure Journal over the years. And then I follow this former pro endurance athlete, chef, and Ayurvedic practitioner, Lentine Alexis, who has her recipes are so amazing that I actually pay real live human money to be part of her recipe club. But I think my very favorite one of all the ones I've tried so far is actually not a sweet one. It's a shiitake rice ball recipe that I found in Dirty Gourmet's first book. And they're like these little umami calorie bombs that always hit the spot. I sometimes just make them at home because they're so freaking good. But at the end of the day, Seymour, all you really need to do to properly fuel is eat something that has a good amount of carbs that's also not going to make your stomach do somersaults when you're mid-ride. You don't want it to be messy and sloppy in your hand too. So think about something a little portable. But eat what you want. Eat what you want, buddy. You don't have to go buy those packets. I know a guy who fueled he did a 1 week speed hike of the John Muir Trail in Numupoyo, and that's over 200 miles. And for better or worse, all he ate on that trip, 90% of what he ate on that trip were just baggies. He didn't eat the baggie, but it was baggies filled with what was essentially pureed oats and peanut butter. It sounded boring and disgusting to me, but then again, I once ate a stale tortilla filled with canned chicken and a slice of sun-melted Kraft cheese that I found in a plastic bucket at Muir Trail Ranch when I was on the PCT, so who am I to judge?
I bet it was delightful.
It was really, really good.
when you're that hungry, it's so good.
Oh, it was deranged. We ate so much weird stuff on that trail.
Yeah, this is the dark side, I feel like, of the sort of energy food industrial complex or whatever. Because I think for most of the stuff, if you look at this stuff and what's out there and the gels and whatnot, it exists for a really good reason. And if you're doing a really hard race or something like that, it's an easy way to consume stuff, all that kind of stuff. But now it's sort of painted this sort of picture of what you're quote unquote supposed to do.
Right.
You're hey, I'm starting to mountain bike. Well, I guess I'm supposed to have these things when I fuel now. It's no, man, you eat whatever you want. And actually, when I worked at GU, the kind of lead scientist person who head up product development and everything would be yeah, man, this is just sugar. Like, just you get, have a Snickers, have a can of Coke, you're going to get the same thing. No, the delivery of it's what matters. And so Seymour, if you're just riding your bike and you happen to be going longer and you don't mind carrying a few extra things, you really can carry whatever you want. It's the people who are trying to like win a race and those kinds of things who might want to rely on that. Now, occasionally I don't mind a gel. I like that every once in a while. But
the
my
salted watermelon.
Right? My last big event that I did was a 50-mile ultramarathon, and I made like a dozen egg and cheese burritos.
What?
And we had that my crew would meet me at the aid stations, and there's a picture, actually the picture on the Rock Fight website of my buddy Bryce pouring ketchup on one. And it was just, with the ketchup especially, it was this perfect blend of everything. And I wanted to eat it because a lot of times with these sugary foods too, you don't want to eat it after a while too.
Yeah.
So you stop fueling. So
oh man, that makes me think of
Abby.
Yeah, that's right. Listen to Colin.
Yeah.
Have a burrito. No, I think it makes me think of my favorite, one of the trail races I did, Valencia Trail Race, had some pretty great aid stations. And I just remember one aid station had Peeps and pickles. I was like, oh yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, it's like a perfect combo.
It was perfect.
That was the thing I learned because I burn out on the sugary stuff real quick. And like by like the mile whatever on whether it's bike or run or whatever, I'd be like, make some potato chips. I just want something salty. I do not want to eat anything sugary anymore. So
maybe you need to start making your own bars and balls, Colin. All right, well, that is it for this episode of Gear Abby. Until next time, send your burning questions about your relationships with outdoor people, products, places, and pastimes over to deargearabby@gmail.com, and I'm going to do my best to answer them or find someone else who can. And of course, head over to your podcast listening service of choice and subscribe, rate, review to support the pod and personally make my day. In the meantime, today's episode was produced by David Karstad and Colin True, your favorite pig. Art direction provided by Sarah Gensert. And I'm Shawnté Salabert. And remember, there are no dumb questions, just smart advice.